Thank you, Chairman. Thank you for bringing up this very important topic that's very timely. And thank you, Admiral, especially for your service and those in uniform behind you for what you do to protect and serve our country. It occurs to me that we're discussing this issue, but it seems to me like it's as much a system of some of the bigger issues we've seen at the Pentagon in regarding our stance just on the world stage, in the sense that, you know, I wish we were talking today about how advanced we are and how forward-thinking we've thought about this, and that we've invested in these new technologies, and that we're leading the world in it, and when we look at drones and drone incursions. But yet, for me, you know, I've considered that funding our defense is our number one constitutional duty in Congress. My biggest concerns have been that sometimes we are funding legacy systems that are outdated as opposed to investing into where the puck is going, so to speak. And while the funding for this is in lots of different buckets, my analysis, looking through a bunch of it seems like we're spending about $22 billion-ish in the last budget on fighter jets, and maybe $1 billion on drone and counter-drone technology together. Maybe off a bit because, again, it's in a lot of different pockets. But it's that concerns me in the sense of, you know, we're talking about military incursions over our base. We're talking about one drone coming and what we can or can't do about it. I think from the American taxpayer who's sitting at home going, we're spending $800 billion roughly on defense, and we can't shoot a drone down. It's just a frustrating experience because we want to think that we can do that. So, as has been mentioned, us needing to do our job to make sure that you have the capabilities to do it. But I would also wonder how much of this is a little bit of a reactive stance in command, being more concerned about CYA, so to speak, as opposed to protecting the assets and the intelligence and the information that is available on that base. You mentioned that you recently developed the SOP, I guess about a month ago. That was news to me. Could we get a copy of that sent to this committee?
Yes, sir. I don't see a problem with that. I'll coordinate with Commander U.S. Northern Command.
Okay. That would be much appreciated. And, you know, we all remember the what I would call Biden's balloon blunder, where we had this balloon come across. We sat here and watched it for days. I went to a meteorologist at one of the local news stations, and he was tracking it and predicting where it was going to go, and yet we were watching it go over bases and not doing anything about it. How much is this is just not the will to act versus legitimately you being prohibited legally from doing things? There's a difference between not having a clear authority and being prohibited from doing something, I guess, is what I'm trying to drill
Yes,
down.
Congressman, that's a great question. For us on the policy side, we seek to clarify the authorities for base commanders so that they understand exactly what they are able to do. And as you pointed out, sometimes there may be a little bit confusion because of how the language is given out or guidance is pushed down to the lower levels. During our review of counter-UAS policies, as prescribed in Section 925 of the FY25 NDA, we've gone back and we've reviewed all of our counter-UAS documentation. For example, Section 130I, it was at about 130 pages. We've cut that down to 20 pages now. So we're looking to streamline our processes as much as possible so commanders understand what they have for authorities.
That's certainly very helpful. And I guess, you know, if I could convey kind of the angst of the American people, you know, we're looking at this and thinking, okay, there's drone incursion into the United States. You know, there's bad actors within our borders now who have the ability to even attack infrastructure. I mean, we're talking military bases, but it could be electric power lines, it could be pipelines, it could be anything at this point. And we seem very, like we're approaching this from a very bureaucratic standpoint as opposed to something that literally could be a problem next week. And I'm wondering what we can do and what we can help you do in the sense of urgency that could be needed you know, again, we have bad actors even at state level within our borders because, you know, we had open borders for the last 4 years. So the terrorist activity that's now in our country, bad actors from other state that don't have the best interest of our country in mind are here with this kind of capability. And what can we do to speed up this process so that it's handled with the urgency as opposed to kind of like this curious bureaucratic question that needs to be resolved? That's a question. What can we do, like, to speed it up, both from DoD and from Congress's standpoint to support what you need?
Thank you for the question, Congressman. We have a legislative proposal working through the Pentagon right now, focused on 3 areas where we could improve Section 130I. In the Department's opinion, we don't want this provision to sunset. We want to make sure that the authorities continue forward. There is an expiration date on 130I authorities next year. We also want to expand the locations and missions covered under 130I. As we've discussed today, the bases are not all covered. Not all installations qualify as one of the 9 mission areas under 130I. So we'd like to expand that to cover all installations. And then we'd also like to facilitate data sharing, because right now, data sharing from the DoD side is limited only in the pursuit of a legal case against a particular individual or group. We're not able to share data with our interagency partners to improve our tactics, techniques, or procedures. And to your point, Congressman, earlier about driving cost efficiencies, being able to share data to produce better technology would help us be more efficient with taxpayer money.
Thank you for that. The gentleman's time's expired.